The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the guests or hosts, and not necessarily those of the advertisers, networks, platforms, or stations. Warning that the content of the show may not be suitable for all audiences, and that viewer discretion is advised. The show does not intend to provide medical, legal, or financial advice, and viewers or listeners should consult with a professional before making any decisions based on the information.
Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live. I'm your host, Jack Carey, and we are broadcasting from 300 feet deep in an abandoned nuclear missile silo somewhere lost in the post-apocalyptic wastelands of the Dakota Territories, and I am joined, as always, by the paranormal crime-fighting duo, Daisy and the Sundance Kid. And just today, on our way to town in the war wagon, we saw, believe it or not, we saw neon-colored radioactive woolly mammoths that were feeding on human flesh. So beware if you're lost in the wastelands of the Dakota Territories. But seriously, guys, this has been a crazy, crazy week. This is one of those weeks where I have been continuing to prepare for massive changes that are about to take place. And so I thought tonight might be an interesting night to talk about preparing, to talk about a little bit of education, perhaps, on the cryptocurrency markets that are going to become sort of forefront in everybody's mind in the very near future. So it'd be kind of educational for us to kind of go over that and the mechanisms by which our entire economy is about to be overturned in some kind of prophesied cyber prophecy, as I cover on this show. But there's going to be some kind of massive economic transformation. Will that include a crash of some kind? Well, that's something I've been monitoring for a long time now. I have been actively acquiring physical silver and cryptocurrencies, and I don't offer financial advice, but I do talk about how I'm preparing for these massive upcoming changes. The reason why those two particular things were chosen is because the webbot is indicating, and remote viewing groups are also indicating, along with a lot of very, very well-informed financial minds around the world, all sort of converging on this idea that we are seeing right before our eyes a revolutionary change taking place right under the surface. They're not talking about it on the news every night, but they will very soon. If you haven't been paying attention, and many people aren't, many people are busy with their day-to-day lives and don't have time to sit around and watch the metals markets all day like I do. And I can tell you, silver is quickly approaching its $50 mark. I do have a screen I can share here for everyone to see. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this on the Teams app. And this is going to be an interesting screen for everyone to see here. Let's see here. I'm not sure if it's going to allow me to actually show it. Let me try to cancel this and try it one more time. I have a live screen to show you guys of what's taking place right now, and I thought it'd be really cool and educational to share that, but let's see if I can get it to actually come up. It's just not showing up on my end, so maybe I won't be able to do that. But gold and silver are both making record highs. Silver is not yet breached its all-time record high, but it is close to breaching it, which is the $50 mark. That's fascinating because the $50 mark is something that has been in place for somewhere around 80 plus years, and you have to understand that all of this goes back to the British opium wars with the Chinese. So to give you a little bit of historical perspective on how far back all of this goes, a long time ago, there was basically this thing called the Opium Wars, and what had ended up happening was China exported a bunch of goods to Europe and to the UK, and China was on the silver standard at the time. That basically led to a bleeding out of all of the silver out of Europe into China. Because that's the only thing they accepted in payment for all kinds of things that were popular in Europe at the time. Spices and all kinds of stuff. So it ends up, to make a long story short, the British Empire basically conducts an operation by which they get the larger percentage of the population of the Chinese people addicted to opium, and only accepted payment for the opium in silver. And they did this to extract back that same silver that was bled out of Europe prior to all of this occurring. That silver made its way back to London banks, which then have used it for decades upon decades upon decades of time to artificially manipulate other markets. And it's a very simple process by how they do it. To many experts in the silver market will tell you that they have basically taken derivative contracts, if you know what those are. They have sold derivative contracts. There is a huge short position in the silver market, meaning people that have institutions that have bet against the upward price of silver and are now getting crushed, getting wrecked on a daily basis. There are a lot of banks that are running scared right now, and it appears as though there are some extremely deep pockets who have called the hand of the other side. In other words, everybody's always got this idea in mind that there's a one world dominant cabal of some kind. Well, this is kind of showing you that there are various groups of powerful cabals all vying for power on this planet. And you have one cabal with a lot of money, whoever these people are. They are deep, deep pockets. They have recognized that the other side has been caught short. They literally are short the metal. They don't have enough metal to even come close to covering the silver contracts on the COMEX. Once that becomes known, it is going to cause a rush to that metal like you have never seen before in history, right? And silver isn't like gold. You know, all of the gold that's ever been extracted up out of the ground is still here with us. Is still up out of the ground, sitting in vaults all around the world. There's a ton of it sitting around the world. Silver's different. Silver gets used up over time. It takes somewhere like, I forget what they said, 20 pounds of silver in every cruise missile. Imagine what one war does, right? There is silver in all new technologies. There is a vast amount of it used in artificial intelligence. There is a vast amount of it used in all kinds of space products. There is a vast amount of it used in the medical industry. There is a vast amount of it used in the battery industry. There is a vast amount of it used in every industry. And we just throw it away into the landfill. Micro amounts of it, but it adds up over time. And silver is like skin follicles. It exists in what they call the epithermal layer of the earth. And it used to be for every one piece of gold that you could dig up out of the ground, you would get somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 pieces of silver. Today, it's 1 to 7. Something they don't even talk about, and it's getting used up in vast amounts. On the silver market, they are having record numbers of delivery contracts. That never happens. Ever. They trade contracts back and forth. These entities never say, hey, oh, and by the way, I expect that metal to be on my doorstep on Wednesday. That doesn't happen. It's just known and understood that it's in a warehouse somewhere, and they're just trading a contract on that that's known to exist in a warehouse somewhere. That has ended. And somebody has called their hand, and now they are getting vast deliveries of silver. More than has ever been recorded on the COMEX in its entire history. It's happening right now. I literally sat today and watched silver climb another $1 plus per ounce. It's over $47 and counting. You're about $2.50 away from that $50 mark. That $50 mark, according to technical analysts in the silver market, is the culmination of a 45-year technical pattern that they refer to as a cup and handle. In fact, this is a double cup and handle. And in technical analyst land, when you're analyzing a stock chart and here a metal chart, they have various patterns that they have learned to recognize over time as being either extremely bearish or extremely bullish. In that world of patterns that they have recognized and have classified, the cup and handle is the most bullish that there is. Usually a cup and handle pattern can form over a couple of years, maybe less than that, and it leads to an explosive upward movement. Imagine one that's taken 45 years to form and didn't just form one, it formed one on top of the other. At a time when the webbot and cyber prophecy and remote viewing groups have all told us to expect an explosive upward price movement in precious metals worldwide. This comes with the predicted demise of fiat currencies. I guarantee you that the powers that be who get to see the real books, wear diapers to work every day, because that's got to be one scary job. I think that they have come to realize that the 38 trillion in debt that we have, with a 1 trillion plus interest payment every year, we are basically, with our tax revenue, the United States is bringing in 5 trillion a year, and we are spending 7. Do the math. We are borrowing a rate of 2 trillion per year on top of 38 trillion just to maintain our lifestyle. Think about that. The government just shut down. There's all kinds of people screaming about it. Imagine what happens when that extra 2 trillion just isn't there every year anymore. Because you know what goes away when that happens? Every single kind of social program you can imagine goes right down the drain, because there simply is no more money for it. That has led Russia to lately they're making public claims now that the United States is about to try to perpetrate the greatest fraud in human history, and that is the attempt to basically tokenize through blockchain technology our debt. And by doing so, you can basically spread that debt around the world in such a way as to make it nullified. In other words, they're going to basically take gold, make that the standard for bonds. They're going to reprice gold somewhere around 24 to 30,000 an ounce. And then they're going to tokenize the debt, meaning that you'll have 50-year bonds that are payable only in gold and are secured through blockchain technology. That's the kind of massive change that we are about to see take place. It is my personal estimation for my own life event that this will be a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. You can research. Some of good research is really available out there right now, some amazingly good research. I'm heavily involved with Ethereum, and Ethereum is the second highest market cap underneath Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently trading up over $4,000 a coin right now at 118,000 and change. I was arguing with people to buy it back when it was 1,000. At what point do you just not argue with it anymore, right? And now you have analysts who have left major firms and you have a line of these companies, mind you, that are setting up Ethereum treasury companies. These are companies that buy up Ethereum, which is the second largest cryptocurrency in the world. And the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is that Ethereum is a usable network that executes smart contracts in a way that Bitcoin cannot do. That has led many of these analysts, many of who have now invested billions upon billions of dollars into Ethereum, to believe that the entire Wall Street transactional network, imagine that. Imagine every single stock trade that takes place in the world, all taking place on a secure blockchain that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never closes. Has no transaction fees other than in Ethereum itself. In other words, they have built a network that literally the more traffic you have on this network, all secured, completely encrypted on distributed ledger blockchain technology, all of this traffic, the more of it you have, the more Ethereum it uses up, decreasing the available supply, therefore increasing the value exponentially. You're talking about an asset that literally is like owning real estate on the world's most valuable network, never having tenants. You don't need to own any property. The list of beneficial things goes on and on and on. But in the end, it's going to be, according to the webbot and certain remote viewing groups, it's going to be sort of a culmination of the demise of fiat currencies, along with a widespread acceptance of this new technology that leads us into what the webbot calls sci-fi world, right? So you have to excuse me. I've got a dry throat this evening. So, this is important because you're getting to see, if you pay attention, right now, the unfolding of all of this cyber prophecy that has been given to us years and years ago by the Webbot. And just today, Cliff High over at the Webbot, or actually yesterday, released a public letter to everyone, and we're going to be covering that in the second half of the show. We're going to be talking a little bit about Cryptid Corner and the possible origins of the Dogman, and we're going to continue this discussion about not only how do you prepare really from kind of a financial perspective if you're paying attention to cyber prophecy and paranormal groups like remote viewing groups who are all kind of echoing what a lot of really brilliant financial minds are telling us, but how do you also go about preparing yourself on an emotional level, spiritual level? How do you get your home prepared for what's coming? Because it's, today the Webbot basically, when it was analyzing 3-Eye Atlas, the interplanetary stellar body headed our way that many experts believe to be an alien craft, it spit out the term War of the Worlds. That's a no joke right there. And there's every indication that certain militaries around the world suspect that this is an alien craft and that it is hostile. So that's interesting. We're going to have to talk about the ontological implications of that. This week, there was a congressman who mentioned again to some reporters that he had knowledge that there were, his words, entities living in the world's oceans, and that he had direct knowledge of that. And that's our Paranormal in the News. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're at the stage now where you're beginning to see, really this week was a big week. And a lot of this economic type of prophecy taking place, that literally facilitates, according to the Webbot, the releasing of a vast amount of technology that's been withheld from the public. And the Webbot seems to indicate that the arrival of 3-Eye Atlas is also going to flip a switch, and the governments are going to have to present some back-engineered alien reproduction vehicles. So that's a lot of stuff, guys. A lot of stuff on our table. We're going to get back to that in a lot of detail coming up after our break. This is sort of a complex rabbit hole to see how all of this connects together. But, Cliff High's letter today, which I'm going to read to you guys, will make a lot of this clear to you and connect a lot of lines. And we'll get back to our analysis of all of this craziness right after our break.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar.
I
was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road.
And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road.
It happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
It happened so quickly, the cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Shadows creep, monsters leave. In the woods, strange voices. Shadows creep in the woods, monsters leave. In the woods, bright noises. Mystical. Airwave mystical. Mystical. UFO. Alien overlord.
From ancient times to modern days, legends of creatures in sudden disarray. Hear them speak through frequencies. Alien connections.
Break it out, truth untold. Tune it in, cosmic mystery. Dark woods where legends breathe. Paranormal whispers, can you believe? Bigfoot strikes through the veils. Dogman howls in the midnight tale. From the static, revelations pour. Portals open, dimensions roar. Truth, no disguise. Cryptid shadows creeping near. Through the static, voices clear. Dark woods where legends breathe. Paranormal whispers. Can you believe? It's the Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio. Enjoy the show. It's how we spend our Wednesday nights. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live. I'm your host, Jack Carey, your personal guide, your tour guide to the Twilight Zone. And tonight we are talking about, well, the crossroads, that place in Woo Land where financial world collides with the paranormal. And as a reminder, we don't give out financial advice. I'm barely give out paranormal advice, and this is a paranormal show, so don't take any financial advice from me. All I can do is merely show you on a personal level what I'm doing to prepare for what the Webbot has predicted for many, many years now. And again, that's really part of the cyber prophecies. If you have a video feed, you'll be able to see right now I'm showing you a and we don't give out medical advice either or anything like that, legal advice. But yeah, just don't take any advice that I would proffer to you. If the best you can do is muse at my efforts, that's really okay with me. So, but
but it's okay to take a first aid kit if you go paranormal hunting, whatever.
I like it. I always take a first aid kit. My mentor gave me a rape whistle once upon a time when all else fails out there in crypto land, and I still carry it to this day. So, you always take advice like that, but I'm showing everybody what a live feed looks like to the world markets, and I have to show you that this is what I look at on a daily basis, and this is interesting because I have a few things pulled up. I've got gold, silver, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Those are really the only things I'm interested in these days. I think it's real simple going forward. You can see if you have the video feed that silver's at $47.16 right now. Don't let that down 14 cents fool you. That's an overseas trading. The COMEX is currently closed in the U.S., but I can see what's happening overnight overseas, and fully expect that, along with a lot of other people, to at least test that $50 mark. And if it breaks that, there is no resistance line above that. No recorded resistance line above $50 on silver. Imagine that. Going back for as long as you can go back in history, there's no record of it being that valued. And it's at a time when most of these experts are saying that there is simply not as much metal out there as these contracts would have the population believe. And when they get whiff of that news, it's going to be, lights out. So the Webbot describes silver in the future as unobtainium. You will not be able to obtain it. Period. So, take it for what it's worth. Cliff High put out a very interesting letter to all of us, really all of us out here in Woo Land, and I thought it'd be worth covering tonight. If you're unfamiliar with the program, Cliff is the inventor of the Webbot that made all of these prophecies so long ago, and all of them have been coming true. And he states, I quote, presumably War of the Worlds, exclamation point. Well, more like contention within the common shared reality. Universe provides and guides for all of us. All of our body's life, universe provides for us. Everything we need to experience is laid before us. The entirety of this materium is purpose built to house and provide for our body's life. It's safe to presume this is so for the space aliens as well. That is, that universe provides and guides their body's life also. All the people and all the experiences of your body's life are there for your benefit, explicitly. We know this as you are a co-creator of the experiences, and universe has provided the activators, the set, and the setting for those experiences to manifest. Many of these experiences do not feel very much beneficial in the midst of them. They are what we need, not necessarily what we desire, though each and all are exactly what is required for our progression in this body's life, and within the life chain, the chain that cannot be broken of all of our body's lives. We call this part karma. If none of this makes sense to you, pass by. You're not supposed to get it at this point in your/our common shared reality. This blank is really complex. We are co-creators of our experience of this common shared reality. Presumably, so are the space aliens. Presumably, now that they have intruded into our space in our solar system, and he's referring to Three-Eye Atlas, the space aliens are also involved in the co-creation of this common shared reality. As was said, this S blank is really complex and is getting more so. There are layers within threads, within streams, within chains, within this continuous event stream, within this eternal now. And they are here, in it with us, in this now. This is where the complexity of it all compounds itself. Without regard to what area or level of thinking we pursue, we end up asking more questions. There are few answers, especially within officialdom, which by its nature and controlling organization will not be thinking very widely about our situation. Officialdom is preparing for their presumed confrontation with the space aliens. They are also preparing for their confrontation with the global populace, where we all face them and say, quote, "What the actual F, dudes?" Which one scares them more? Yet another question in our queue. Do you trust Kash Patel? How about Trump? Had the thought occurred to you yet that neither may own their own minds any longer? Do the space aliens have mind control at the level where they can remotely control officialdom? What happens if this idea takes hold? How will officialdom contend with that aspect of our changing common shared reality? Will this Three-Eye Atlas be used as the entry point for officialdom to unveil the hidden reverse-engineered alien tech? It's seemingly ideally designed for that. A great opportunity where the populace is so freaked out that they will forgive/overlook the horror of 80-plus years of officialdom crimes because they think humanity is facing an existential threat. We may be facing extinction. We have no effing clue. Well, the populace doesn't. Officialdom may. We don't know what those slimy worms are concealing. Laughingly, officialdom doesn't know either. Trump read in on any of the UFO details? Probably not. Military readiness relative to space aliens? Rolling on the floor, laughing my A off. Humanity faces some challenges here. We are not screwed, though. This view is only in the minds of the gritology crowd where random and meaningless coincidences exist. From the ontology view, humanity is an active participant in this karmic thread emerging now from the continuous and expanding event stream. we are co-creating it in this now, along with newly arrived space aliens. Basically, we brought them here, along with the universe, as something we need to experience. Human life here on Earth will never be the same. The complexity of the karma within the event stream is compounding itself. One emerging thread already visible in the failure of the gritology paradigm itself. That collapse is going to leave a lot of butts very naked indeed. We all paid our karmic ticket to be here at this time for this most epic show ever. For me, the best part is watching all the clowns, officialdom, in their little cars and costumes. They are so funny. And that's the end. So you can see where Cliff is on this. And you can see that right before your eyes, if you have the video feed, all of this economic type stuff seemingly beginning to manifest in the event stream as it was predicted. And what he's saying is that 3i Atlas is the real deal. There are alien life forms on that thing, and apparently officialdom is aware of it, and its presence in our solar system is going to be the catalyst by which all of this change begins to take place. And from an ontology perspective, the perspective that the universe has a, what John Paul Sartre called a universal mind, a supreme consciousness, if you will. I like that term a lot. The supreme consciousness has inhabited the gritology, which is the actual grit of this material. The dirt, the rock, the soil, the plants, everything that makes up this reality matrix. It has inhabited that in an attempt to find complexity. And complexity is what it's seeking out as a form of novelty. Novelty is seeking out new and unique experiences not experienced before through the endless, myriad, countless life forms that exist throughout the universe. So imagine a supreme consciousness that lives in all those life forms and seeks out complexity within their given event stream so that they can experience, it can experience an ever-growing amount of unique experiences that it's not had before. Because of that, it seeks out complexity, and complexity is what we are about to get in heaps. So, this is going to change everything. And, I was talking before about the silver markets, the silver wars, and the fact that silver is used in every single form of advanced technology, and I can guarantee you it's used in vast amounts in any sort of reversed engineered technology that we have produced. We can make a craft look like another craft. It doesn't mean it exactly operates like that craft. And I have to remind everybody that 3i Atlas is coming in hot to a planet which for a very long time appears to have had an alien intelligence already here interacting with our species, and who apparently has in its possession a technology which supersedes that of 3i Atlas. So, I described this whole scenario on a previous show. You might have an alien life form showing up in a hostile posture to a planet that already has another alien life form living on it that's somewhat predating and attempting to colonize that planet. And a surface species who's captured some of that alien technology and who has weaponized it. We might be in for the greatest show of all time. A front row seat to the greatest show of all time. And I urge you guys not to fear what's coming. I urge you to grab a surfboard, because this might be the biggest wave of all time. You like the movie Point Break? There's some Point Break fans out there where the guy, one of the bank robber characters says, it's a major commitment to even paddle off into the big surf. It's not like you can just call a timeout, stroll on into the beach if you don't like the way things are looking. Well, that's exactly what you're about to see. The big wave is coming, the 40-year storm, right? And you can either grab your surfboard and get ready to surf that wave, or you can get washed over like a giant tsunami. But one way or the other, I don't think anything's going to stop it. So, going forward, I was going to mention that, it's a very good idea right now to sort of create in your home Zen spaces. I'm big on that. Create a Zen space that you can sort of use for your personal meditational peace of mind. There's a lot of craziness that's going to come down the pike. And with economic upheaval, that stretches really its octopus arms down into every kind of rabbit hole you can imagine. The WebBot predicts that in the very short amount of time from here, there's going to be a period of time where you simply won't believe what's on your TV screen. All the woo guys like me out here in paranormal land, it's predicted that we kind of lose our audiences, because you won't have to listen to us describe to you what's happening in paranormal land. It's going to be on your nightly news. You're going to see stuff you never imagined they would ever show. And it's going to happen so repeatedly that people are going to be like, well, the woo guys aren't that wooey anymore, because we're seeing David Muir every night talk about, back reversed engineered alien technology and alien bodies. And, that's what's about to happen, that kind of change. So, brace yourselves. This week on Cryptid Corner, while I have time, I was going to discuss the origins of the Dogman, and I'll make that a very long story very short. So in my investigations of the Dogman origins, and, it's something that's been rekindled in me, the origins of the Dogman, because of the experience that the intelligence agents at Skinwalker Ranch had with the hitchhiker effect and their Dogman encounter, which, if you don't know anything about that, they had a Dogman encounter. Well, only two possibilities exist there, right? Either the same entity that's at Skinwalker Ranch manifested itself as a Dogman 2,000 miles away in Langley, Virginia, near the CIA headquarters, or the Dogmen are responsible for Skinwalker Ranch. You can't really have it both ways. If A equals B and B equals A, then A equals B. So, it's just, that's crazy to think about. If the Dogman phenomenon is a standalone cryptozoological phenomenon, in other words, a breeding viable species of cryptid out there in the forest of North America, like the Sasquatch species, then how do we explain its manifestation as a form of the hitchhiker effect to witnesses who are unimpeachable? We can't. It's impossible. The highest probability, and I have to remind you that when you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, has to be the truth. The highest probability here, in my estimation, is that you're dealing with an entity that can make itself look like the creatures we call dogmen, but in reality is not what we think it is at all. It appears to be a kind of demiurge like species or entity, a singular entity perhaps, a mimic species. A species that can make itself look like really the most horrific thing from human imagination. That's what it's trying to do. So that would make sense. They experience the entity at Skinwalker Ranch, where it's obviously making its nest, if you will, and it's able to quantumly entangle with humans at that site, and by so doing was able to quantumly entangle with one of the agent's wives in Langley, Virginia, 1,000 miles away, and manifest as a dogman in order to scare her to death. I mean, it literally almost scared her to death. So, and then manifested to the intelligence agent's children a few days later, all of which was chronicled by Dr. Colin Kelleher in the book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Again, it's a must-read for anybody involved in paranormal research because it revolutionizes our idea of what it is we're really dealing with. It doesn't make sense for us to keep going out and setting camera traps for Dogman in the woods if Dogman is really just the manifestation of one form from an entity that can change into many kinds of different forms. In other words, it's not likely you're going to catch it just wandering around the woods by itself and tripping a camera because it tries to manifest in the presence of human beings. So my bet is that if a human's not present, neither is the Dogman. It's there for a reason. And that reason is to interact with the nearest human. Why it chooses to do that, we don't know. But I take a deep, hard dive look at all of that in my book, Dogman, Legend Meets Science. It is a field guide for the field investigator. So if you're interested in actually pursuing that as an investigative hobby, if you will, then my book should provide you with a really comprehensive guide as to what's required right now in order for us to prove the existence of the Dogman species and what we might expect to be able to pour on that mystery going forward in the years to come with all kinds of new technologies available to us. So take a look at that. It's actually doing really well on Amazon these days. So people must like it. And going forward, keep your eye this next week. Keep your eyes on the cryptocurrencies, guys, and keep your eyes on the price of silver. If it breaks 50, watch it to run into, silver analysts are saying high triple digits. That's quite possible. Who knows? When there are no resistance lines, you're in never land. You are in price discovery point at that stage. So stay tuned for the craziness. I'll see you next week.